Steering axle is next. Talk about everything on the steering axle. The first thing I would talk about would be my tire face right here. I would say there's no abrasions, boulders, or cuts. There's no leaks. It's wearing evenly. Also, if I were to check the tread, I should have at least 430 seconds. Also, this tire cannot be a recap. It has to be a virgin tire. Then I'm going to talk about my inner outer sidewall. There's no abrasion, boulders, or cuts. It's properly mounted. No leaks. And I'm just going to keep working my way down. I'm going to talk about my rim. Not bent, broke, or cracked. It's properly mounted. Also, there's no illegal wells. Then my lug nuts, all of my lug nuts right here, are not bent, broke, or cracked. They're properly mounted. None are missing. There's no excessive rust or shiny spots, which would indicate overheating. I'm sorry, not overheating, but looseness or tightness. Then I'm going to talk about my valve stem right there. It's not bent, broke, or cracked. It's properly mounted. It's not missing any screws or bolts. Really, it's a nut that holds it together. Also, there's no leaks. And my cap should be tight. And if I were to check my tire, my PSI should be at least 100 PSI. All right, so after that, I'm going to go inside to my suspension. I'm going to talk about my upper and lower leaf spring mount. They're both not bent, broke, or cracked. They're properly mounted. They're not missing any screws or bolts. Then I'm going to talk about my leaf spring. It's not bent, broke, or cracked. It's properly mounted. It's not scissoring or shifted. My leaf spring right there. Then my U bolts, not bent, broke, or cracked. They're properly mounted. They're not missing any screws or bolts. Since we don't have an airbag, we don't have to talk about it. But we will talk about our shock absorber. My upper and lower shock absorber mounts first. Not bent, broke, or cracked, properly mounted. Not missing any screws or bolts. My shock absorber itself is not bent, broke, or cracked, and it has no leaks. Okay, so after that, just go right down the list. What's next? Brake line and I believe hoses, my air brake hoses. So right here, I'm going to do my ABS wire first. My ABS wire is what? Not rip torn or frayed. It's properly mounted. It's not missing any clamps. My air brake hose is, there's no abrasions, boulders, or cuts. It's properly mounted. There's no leaks. Then I'm going to drop down here to my brake chamber. Not bent, broke, or cracked. Properly mounted. We can see right there. Not missing any screws or bolts or clamps. There's a clamp. And there's no leaks. And then my push rod slack adjuster. Not bent, broke, or cracked. It's properly mounted. Not missing any cotter pins, cotter keys. Also, if I were to check it, I would disengage my brakes. I would chalk my wheels first. Then I would disengage my brakes. And I should not have more than 1 inch of play. So after that, we talk about our brake contaminants, which is, it's gonna be right there, my brake liner. All right, somewhere, yeah, there you go. My brake liner is not bent, broke, or cracked. It's properly mounted. There's no debris. And if I were to check it, I should have at least 1/4 inch of liner. Then we come outside and we talk about our brake drum, which is right in there. Not bent, broke, or cracked. It's properly mounted. There's no illegal wells. What else can we say? There's no oil or debris. And there's no bluing, which would indicate overheating. Okay, so that's the end of the steering axle.